Okay, I guess we're live now. Am I right? Am I wrong? Okay, something appeared on my screen, so we can start now. And today, as you can see, we'll be doing the configuring IAM permissions with gcloud for the AWS path developer. And what does it mean, the IAM permissions? I read that before from the overview. It's just a user access configuration or other permissions like we did before. So now let's come to the objectives, where in this lab we will learn how to install and configure the gcloud client, then create and switch between multiple IAM configurations, identify and assign correct IAM permissions, and create and use the service account, user service account. Okay, so that's all. Give me a second. That's all that we had to discuss at the beginning. Let me open the chat. Wait a second. Huh. Fail. Okay, well, changes. Closed. What is? Yeah, so we are on the Google Cloud Skill Boost platform. Where's it? I've been losing one a week. Okay, let's do something like that. Okay, and now let's open the stream. And we'll be ready to go. Oops, sorry. Let's do it like that. Okay, I guess it's configured properly. Okay, so let's come to the course, and we can read there what is IAM. The Google Cloud offers cloud identity and access management, which is a shortcut which we can acronym as IAM, which lets you manage access control by defining who, which is identity, has what access is the role for which resource. In IAM, permission to access a resource isn't granted directly to the end user. Instead, permissions are grouped into roles, and roles are granted to authenticated principals. In the past, IAM often referred to principals as members. Some APIs still use this term. Okay, now come to the identities in Cloud IAM. you grant access to principals. Principals can be one of the following types: Google account, service account, Google group, Google workspace account, cloud identity domain, all authenticated users, and all users. Okay, now let's read about what is gcloud. Gcloud is a part of the Cloud SDK. You must download and install the SDK on your system and initialize it before you can use the gcloud command line tool. You can use this tool to perform many common platform tasks, either from the command line or in scripts and other automation. Come on, I have trouble with a microphone. Okay, back in the stream. Now, okay, set our requirements. We covered that multiple times already. We have to log in using the credentials from this section on the left, which I hidden from you under this some image. Now, okay, let's come to the first task, which is configure the gcloud environment. So open Google Cloud Console in incognito window. Now copy the username. Yeah. Copy the username number 1 from the section. Now copy the password. Login. Yes, I do understand. Agree to the terms of servicing. And now let's start configuring the environment. So this lab already has a compute engine instance called CentOS Clean that simulates an environment that doesn't have gcloud installed. You can connect to this instance using the Google Cloud Console. Do we have to activate the Cloud Shell? Not really, not right now. So let's come over this menu of the navbar. Now come to the instances. Where is it? Compute engine section, virtual machine instances. Okay, great. Now on the line with the compute instance named CentOS Clean, click SSH. SSH is a way to connect to the machine or the other device. Okay, now we are prompted with this new window, which will be the console for our new machine, the new virtual machine instance. Let's hit up it. Now let's test that gcloud is successfully installed by checking the version inside the SSH session run. We do that by running the gcloud ---- version jd. Okay, so gcloud is installed over this machine. Now create a new instance and update the default zone. I can run the command of gcloud auth login. Do you want to continue? Yes. Once finished, enter the verification code provided in your browser. Okay, press enter, then navigate to the link displayed in a new tab. Okay, copy. Now in this order, open the new tab or login over the user. Yes. Now continue. Allow. Now when you see the prompt, enter the following verification code in gcloud CLI on the machine you want to log into, click on the copy button, then go back to the SSH session and paste the code into the prompt, enter authorization code. Okay, you are seeing this page because you run to the following command in the gcloud CLI from this or another machine. If this is not the case, close this tab. Enter the following verification code in Google gcloud CLI. Okay, so we copy this code and now we run, enter. Yes, you are now logged in. You can change this setting by running this command. And what is it? Gcloud off login -- no launch browser. There's some script when you want to skip the verification. Okay, come back to this SSH session. Next. Click on the active username. Then inside in the SSH session, set the region and zone. Okay, run it gcloud config set compute /region US-east 4. Okay, updated property, great. Gcloud config set compute /zone US-east 4 -b. Property validation for compute zone was skipped. Great. Now, inside the SSH session, run this command of, let's see, gcloud compute instances create lab -1 - zone US East -- machine type E2 standard -2. Okay, let's run this. And if you have correctly set everything up, the command creates an instance. And as we can see, it actually did. So everything we did correctly right now. But what is this size and where is it stored? What image is used? There are a number of defaults the service uses. Some can be controlled in the gcloud configuration. For example, the location of the instance is controlled by the zone setting. Okay, so our task was to create an instance with name of lab1 in project number 1. So check the progress to be sure that we did everything correctly. Yes, that's true. Now check your current gcloud configuration inside the SSH session run. So gcloud config list. And yeah, that's everything is running. The configuration is properly set. And now let's list all the zones available to use by running this command below, gcloud compute zones list. And these are all the zones that gcloud is currently that are currently in use over the gcloud. Next, identify one of the other zones in the same region as you. For example, if your current zone is US West 2A, you could select US West 2 -b. So as we are on the US -east 4 and there are B, C, D, no, actually the region is US East 4. There are 3 of the name over the zones that are C, B, and A, B, and C for the US East -4. Okay, great. Now, change your current zone for another zone in the same region. Inside the SSH session, run the following, replacing zone with the zone you selected. what was it? Okay, here's the US East 4 minus B. So let's select minus C, for example. We do this by running the command of gcloud config set compute /zone and now write US minus east 4 minus C and updated the property. Now let's see the config, and yes, zone has been changed. So great, we can continue, we can move on. gcloud config list. Yeah, I've run that already. And you see the stated zone reflects the change you made. You can change other settings using the gcloud config set command. Those changes are permanent. They are written to your home directory. The default configuration is stored in this home path.config gcloud configurations config-default. If you want to use a zone other than the default zone when creating an instance, you can use ---- zone switch. Okay, for example, gcloud compute instances create lab -1 zone US -central 1 -f. Okay, right, let's check the progress. Yeah, the default zone got updated. Now verify the zone has written to the configure file inside the SSH session. Run this command. Okay, so we will inspect what is our configuration over the compute instance, and the zone got replaced also in here. Second task is to create and switch between multiple IAM configurations. Okay, we have now set up one account in situations when you need to work on different teams or access different accounts. You can also manage that with gcloud config. In your next task, you'll learn how to create a second configuration and switch between both of them. So first, create a new IAM configuration. Start a new gcloud configuration for the second user account. Inside the SSH session, run gcloud init --no launch browser. Now select option 2 of creating a new configuration. Great. Now log in with a new account. Wait, enter configuration name. Name starts with a lowercase letter and contain only lowercase letters A to Z, digits 0 to 9 and hyphens. Log in with a new account. Select option 3. You're logging in with the other provided username. How to second 94. Okay, so I named the configuration name. Now is the goal to set up to choose the account that we would like to use to perform operations for this configuration. Please enter your numeric choice. Okay, so I have to log in with a new account. Select free. Okay, now you're running on a Google Cloud Compute Engine virtual machine. Okay, you're logging in with the other provided username. So yeah, do you want to continue? Yes. Once finished, enter. Okay, so once again we copy this link. Damn it. Once again, gcloud init. Now reinitialize this configuration, second 94 with new settings. Yes, that's it. Log in with a new account, select free. Do you want to continue? Yes. Now copy this link using the mouse. Now paste it into new tab and select use a different account. Now copy the username that is provided in this section. Next, and now select a password which will be the same. Okay, great, I have logged in. Yeah, continue. Okay, allow everything and copy the verification code. Now press enter. Now I can switch tabs to the instances, and now let's see. You're accepting that the Cloud SDK has the same access as your Google account. Okay, you are logged in. Pick cloud project to use. When you see the prompt, enter the following verification code. For pick cloud project to use, locate your current project, QW Clouds minus GCP03, and then type in the number that corresponds to the project. So pick cloud project to use, enter a project ID, and then type in the number that corresponds to the project. I don't know, is the QW Labs resources is the proper name of the project? I guess I have to enter a project ID. So it will be this one, the GCP03. Okay. Now let's see that the gcloud user 2 configuration has been created. There is no user 2 profile. Okay. Wait, configuration name type user 2. Seriously? Once again. Reinitialize. Okay. Damn it. I have to rename the project or just create one. So let's kill this. Run it once again. Create a new configuration. Name it user2. Now checking create connection. Now choose the account that I would like to use to perform operations for this configuration. So the account is the number 3. Now enter a project ID and copy the project ID number 1, paste it, and now everything should be good. Check the progress. Okay, so it was all about my wrong name that I provided. Next, test the new account. So this new account has viewer only access to the project, so you can test that you are indeed using this account by trying to view and then create some resources. Check that you can view details in the first project. Inside the SSH session, run gcloud compute instances list. Okay, copy and run it. Okay, so we got some of the instances. Wait, what? The second user account has viewer access, so you should see CentOS and Lab1 instances listed. Check that you cannot create an instance in the first project as your assigned role is basic viewer. Inside the SSH session, run gcloud compute instances, create lab-2 --zone us -beast 4 -b -machine -type equals e2, yeah, -standard -2. 2 minus standard minus 2. Okay, error. G-Cloud Compute could not fetch resource require compute instances create permission. Yeah. Okay, so everything is running great. Now change back to your first user configuration, which is default inside the SSH session route. So we do that by the script of gcloud configurations activate and now default. Okay, activate the default session. Now you are now back to using your original user account credentials. Later you switch between these two accounts as you learn about roles and permissions. When running a gcloud command, how do you override the configured zone for just that one time? Add the switch project zone, run the command gcloud config set zone different zone before you run the command. Okay, I guess the first switch is the proper one, and yeah, that's true. Next task, identify and assign correct IAM permissions. You have been provided 2 user accounts for this project. The first user has a complete control of both projects and can be thought of as the admin account. The second user has viewer-only access to the 2 projects. Call the second user a DevOps user, and that user identity represents a typical DevOps level user. Next, you use gcloud to configure access to one project for the DevOps user by creating a custom role for the project that permits creation of buckets and instances. Now, examine roles and permissions. To view all the roles, run the following inside the SSH session run. Okay, let's run this command gcloud IAM roles list. Now grep, and what is it? Quotation of the name. Okay, so the bunch of rows is getting displayed. Okay, now inspect one of these roles to see the permissions assigned to the role. To view the permissions, use gcloud IAM roles describe. Try looking at the simple role like roles/compute.instanceadmin. Okay, gcloud IAM roles describe roles/compute.instanceadmin. gcloud. Why have I written that? gcloud. Okay, so name is role/compute.instanceadmin, stage is GA, title compute instance admin beta, alpha beta. Okay, alpha beta. That's from Greek. Okay, you can see the roles has many permissions, but these are the minimum needed for later. Okay, create, delete, start, stop, update, disk, create, subnetwork use external IP, instances, set metadata, instances, set service account. To review the full list of roles and the permissions assigned, refer to the IAM permissions reference guide. Okay, next, grant access to the second user to the second project. Now that you know that roles contain permissions, how do you assign a role and therefore all the associated permissions to a user account? There are 2 ways to attach a role: to the user and an organization, to a user and a project. Okay, now we will attach the basic role of viewer to the second user onto the second project. First, test that the second user doesn't have access to the second project. Switch gcloud configuration back to the second user inside the SSH session run. Okay, gcloud configurations activate user 2. Okay, so second configuration got activated. Now, as we are back to the user 2, set the project ID 2 to the second project. Inside the SSH session, run this command. Okay, echo export project ID to the configuration home directory of the bash rc. Okay. And now let's what gcloud okay, so the echo command got selected, and now copy this section and let's move. Okay, we updated the property of the gcloud config set project by doing this stuff of selecting the directory like we would copy something, and now saying to the gcloud to config set project. Weird stuff. Next, you get a warning you do not appear to have. Okay, you do not appear to have access to project, or it does not exist. Okay, the student does not have permission to access project's instance, or it may not exist. Yeah, that's true. Okay, go on. When prompted, do you want to continue? Yes or no? Type no and press enter. I pressed yes already. Never mind. This means that second user doesn't have access to the project ID to project, which you fix in the next section. Then assign the viewer role to the second user in the second project. Switch back to the default gcloud configuration. Okay. gcloud configuration activate default. Now install JQ. Okay, copy as sudo yum, yes, install Apple release and install JQ. The two scripts that we will do. The sudo is for the super user do something shortcut, and now yum minus y is, and the install is for installing some packages over the virtual machine. So as we wait, yeah, dependencies resolved, nothing to do, complete. Now next, set the value of user ID to the second username and pin the role of viewer to the second user onto the second project. Okay, copy that command where the username is already prepared for us over the echo, and now with the script over the gcloud projects add IAM policy binding and project ID member user ID management role equals role/viewer. Let me grab a drink for a quick. Great. Now the role got updated over the second user. And now once you have run the command, the text looks something like the following. Yeah, it is. Okay, now restricting username 2 to role/viewer in project 2. Have we done that? Let's see. Yes, we did. Assessment completed. Next, task 4. Test that user 2 has access. Now switch your gcloud configuration to the second user. Yeah, gcloud config configurations activate user 2. Now change the configuration for user 2 to the second project inside the SSH session run. gcloud config set project, and now the environmental variable that we set before of the project ID 2. Now you now see 0 instances in this project. Try to create an instance in the second project as the second user. Inside the SSH session, run this command, which is gcloud compute instances create lab. Okay, just a basic compute the instance creation. And now, as we can see, this command fails, and that is because the viewer or user 2 has only viewer access to the project. Now switch back to the default configuration by running this command gcloud config configurations activate. Great. And now create a new role with the permissions. We do that by creating a custom role called DevOps that has the permissions to create an instance. So inside the SSH session, run gcloud im roles create DevOps, and now all the permissions. So I will copy that from this taskbar. Okay, paste it and run it. And this command creates a custom role in the project called DevOps with the permissions to create and manage instances. The full name of the role is listed. Note that the role is in the project, so the path is in the pattern of project/role/role name. Now let's see the assessment. Is it completed, or have I done something wrong? Yeah, that got accepted. Now bind the role to the second account to both projects. And for that, we will be using this gcloud projects add IAM policy binding for the project ID 2 and the member named user 2. Okay, copy that and run it in the SSH session. Great. Now you need permissions to create an instance with a service account attached. The role IAM service account IAM of the service account user has those permissions, so use this predefined role. Okay, let's check that user 2 is bound to project 2 and the role of the IAM service account user. Yes, it is. Right, now bind the custom role DevOps to the second user onto the second project. You can find the second user account on the left on this page. Make sure you get user ID to the second user account. Inside the SSH session, run gcloud projects add IAM policy binding. Wait, is it any different from the command above? Role equals project IAM okay, we have set the first user as a service account user, and now we give it the role of the DevOps that we created before. Okay, let's run it. And yeah, everything seems to be done. Now once you have run the command, the text that looks something like this should appear on the SSH screen. I'm pretty sure it is, yeah, bindings members. Okay, so check the progress of the binding username to DevOps role. Yeah, great, it got accepted. Now test the newly assigned permissions. Switch your gcloud configuration to user 2 inside the SSH session, run this command. So config configurations activate user 2, and now we are back to the user 2, and let's try to create an instance called lab-2 inside the SSH session, run gcloud compute instances create lab2 Okay, so we creating a new instance by creating a new instance, but this time on the second user account. Let's test if that works. And yeah, the new instance got created, so I'm pretty sure this task will be accepted. Yeah, it is. Now verify that the instance exists. We do that by running this command gcloud compute instances list. And yeah, there it is, lab -2. Now your environment, we got some mini quiz. Now after the last changes, your environment looks like this. So we got roles owner, user 1, roles owner to both of the projects, and user 2 has a role viewer to the first project, and roles viewer and DevOps to the second project. What are two of the three items you need to provide when binding an IAM role to a project? Two of the three items. Okay, project ID, account. Is that right? Yeah, account and project ID are the credentials that we need when setting up the permission role. Next task, using a service account. You have seen how to authenticate and use gcloud to access Google Cloud Services with roles. Now you will look at a typical approach. You have an application that uses the application programming interfaces, which are APIs, to read and write to cloud storage packets. You don't want to have to authenticate every time you launch a new server. That would be both painful and not in the spirit of using the cloud. So you will use, we will use the service accounts. The service accounts are a special Google account that belongs to your application or a virtual machine instead of to an individual end user. Your application uses the service account to call the Google API of a service so that the users aren't directly involved. Learn more about service accounts from the Service Accounts Guide. Now you create a service account. Use that service account with a compute instance, then test that the service account allows the access you need. Okay, so create a service account, and first is to switch your gcloud configuration to default. User 2 doesn't have the right to set up and configure service account. Inside the SSH session, run the gcloud config configurations, activate default. Okay, move to the default account, then set the project to project ID 2 in your configuration. Gcloud config set project and the name of it. Now make sure you are targeting the right project. Make sure you are targeting the right project. Yeah, I hope so. And now we have to create the service account. We do that by running the simple command of gcloud im service -account create the name, which will be DevOps --display -name, and the display name, which will be also DevOps. Okay, let's check if the service account got properly created, and yeah, it exists. Good job. Great. Move on. Get the service account email address by running this inside the SSH session run. Okay, then email is devops@qwweeklabs. Is it disabled? No, false. Now, no, the filter shows only the line you are interested in. Notice that the email address contains the role name and the project ID. Next, put the email address into a local variable called SA inside the SSH session run. SA equals dollar, and now in a bracket gcloud IAM service accounts list as some format and filter display name DevOps. Okay, let's copy that. Okay, this command sets the SA as a local variable to the email address of the service account. Pretty useful, right? Next, give the service account the role of im.serviceAccountUser inside the SSH session run. Okay, let's copy that and paste it into it. And what have we done? We gave the service account the role. Okay. And now check that the DevOps service account actually got this role assigned. And yeah, it has. Now, next task, using the service account with a compute instance. Give the service account the role of compute.instanceAdmin. Inside the SSH session, run gcloud projects, add IAM policy, service account. Okay, let's copy that. So we gave the DevOps account, which is our service account, the role of compute instance admin. Oh, so before it was service account user, now it is the instance admin. Check the progress. Okay, great. And now create an instance with the DevOps service account attached. You also have to specify an access scope that defines the API calls that the instance can make. Inside the SSH session, run the gcloud compute instances. Create lab -3. Okay, let's copy that. Create lab -3 map -zone US East -machine type standard service account which has the email that we binded for the SA variable and the scopes of the auth compute. Let's run that. And access scopes are the legacy method of specifying permissions for your instance. Access scopes are not a security mechanism. Instead, they define the default OAuth scopes used in the requests from the gcloud tool or the client libraries. Okay, right back. Now access scopes apply on a per instance basis. You set access scopes when creating an instance, and the access scopes persist only for the life of the instance. Access scopes have no effect if you have not enabled the related API on the project that the service account belongs to. For example, granting an access scope for cloud storage on a virtual machine instance allows the instance to call the cloud storage API only if you have enabled the cloud storage API on the project. Okay, let's see if the lab3 has the service account attached. Yeah, it is. Okay, great. Next, test the service account. Connect to the newly created instance using gcloud compute SSH. This time we use the SSH lab3 and zone US East 4. Okay. Yes, do you want to continue? Yeah, generating public private RSA key pair. enter passphrase. Press enter when asked if you continue. Press enter twice to skip making a password. Okay. The keys random art image is okay. That's cool. SHA. There it uses the SHA like encrypting. Now the configuration now has the service account. The third step is to create an instance. This tests that you have the necessary permissions via the service account. Okay, let's create a new instance over this lab 4. And let's wait a second here. The new instance got created. Now you can press enter to accept the default zone for this virtual machine. And check roles attached are working. Inside the SSH session, run the gcloud compute instances list. Okay, let's run it. And yeah, we got listed all the instances that we created before. And now our environment is looking something like this. So there are 2 projects with 4 lab virtual machines and the one CentOS Clean, which is our operating system. We got the 2 user accounts and 1 DevOps, which is a service account, which has all these roles. And now let's take the mini quiz. What is not true about service account? About service accounts. A. Service accounts can be assigned only the rights necessary for the access required. Service accounts always provide full admin rights to the project. It allows automated deployments of resources. And it prevents a user from directly getting involved in setting up access on the instance. I guess the third option is the correct one. Let's check that. Oh, shit. Oh, what is not true about service accounts? Sorry. So, service accounts can be assigned only the rights necessary for the access required. Okay, so I guess that they provide full admin rights to the project is not true. Okay, congratulations! Using the Cloud SDK tool gcloud, you have successfully installed and configured the gcloud client, managed multiple IAM configurations, assigned appropriate IAM permissions, and worked with a service account. Right, these tasks demonstrate the similarities between Google Cloud IAM and AWS IAM when using command line tools for access control. Both interfaces allow you to provision accounts/roles, create service accounts/roles, and switch users. You applied permissions to user within gcloud similarly to assigning roles and policies in AWS, and explored how Google Cloud projects function comparably to AWS accounts when managing access with Google Cloud IAM. So yeah, it got completed. We can close every tab, leave the rating of the 5 stars, close the SSH, exit. Okay, close these VM instances of the Google Cloud Console, and yeah, lab got accepted. We can now move on, and on the next stream we will continue with this Google Cloud infrastructure for AWS professionals. And next we'll be hosting a web app on Google Cloud using Compute Engine. And that's it for today. See you next time. Bye.